Hi, I'm into it, and today let me review three more books for you, which I found just like that when I was browsing. They are not interconnected at all. They're very different, and I like to read, different genres because that is how I enhance my knowledge and keep my mind engaged and entertained. So here's the first one. This is Footsteps in the Dark by Georgette Here. I'm very surprised at this author. The first time I came across her was when I was looking at, some books written by somebody who had a similar writing style to Jane Austen's because she's dead, and I have all the novels written by her, and I don't know, I really enjoy reading them over and over, but then there are so few in number that I was really craving to read something like her. So I went online and I googled a little bit, and then I came across her, and I was not disappointed by what I read by her. So they're really rather fast-paced novels, and they're primarily love stories through and through, like Jane Austen's. There is a hero and a heroine as such in her story, but then the other characters are also interesting. And surprisingly, the two three books that I've read by her so far, I mean, the heroes and heroines, they have different personalities. They're not the same all the time. They are placed in different circumstances also. So I enjoyed the variety that I read in her book and the fast paced style that she had. So I picked it up with a lot of expectations that will be something like this. Here she has written a mystery which is set in something in the 19th century, wherein a family moves to a far off, a very small town, and there they have a house which they have recently inherited. And the rumor goes that the house is haunted, and of course, strange things happen to them in that house, wherein they investigate about it and all of that. But I do not know. I mean, New York Times, I see, has appreciated a lot. Daily Mail appreciates this a lot. They call it humorous, they call it witty, they call it entertaining. I found none of it is true because I didn't find it entertaining. It dragged on for quite some time because long back there was this one guy who keeps popping up in the story, and he's painted as a shady character, but I figured it out that he's the one who will bring the key to solving this mystery, and I turned out to be true. uh, and it turned out to be true, which was not a very happy scenario with me when I'm really thrillers and mysteries. So I expected more out of her. Probably that's the reason I'm disappointed, but never mind. I didn't see humor anywhere. I mean, there was like rather it dragged on, They talked about day to day events and playing of this game and that game and socializing and all of that, which was, I don't know, important to the plot, but I found it very unnecessary and boring. It kind of dragged on. So I am not impressed with this book. All right, the next book that I happened to pick up was by Matt Haig, How to Stop Time. Okay, so I can't give you the name of this character because it doesn't matter. He keeps changing the names. So there is this character um, who doesn't age. Like years and years go by, and he would just age a year or so. That's all. So this is the story about him, and he. When the story opens, we get to know that he has joined somewhere as a history professor, and it talked about him joining an institution wherein, which is close to, of course, the common people, and a lot many people should not know about them because then they will be experimented on, and people would like to know how come they are not aging, and they would try to find the secrets, and they would become just lab rats. Let's say that. So that is what drives the head of this institution, and all of the members, the very few members, of course, scattered throughout the world, and the head of the institution has all the information on them. So the only thing he asks of them is to keep it all a secret. So keep a lid on it. So they cannot afford to stay in one place for very long because then people would start noticing that they're not aging. So every few years they're given a new identity and they would switch places. So this guy is looking for his daughter, who apparently turned out to be like him only. The wife, of course, aged and died, and in this whole plot, he talks about Shakespeare, having worked with him as well, which I would say was very daring. So overall, I don't think I got entertained by this book, but then again and again, it made me think, like, how would it be if we didn't age and the time of death were to be prolonged? I mean, how would I feel about it? I mean, to each his own, but this is the primary question it raises, and how to stop time. Then this one important question is answered in the last few lines, in the last paragraph, on the last page, which I'm not going to reveal, of course, but then you can read it for yourself and find out more about it. So, all in all, I would say it's a very interesting read and a very interesting angle that the author has taken. So you're gonna have fun with this one. Okay, so the next one in line is again not connected to the other two. One was a mystery, the other was a fiction, and this one is also a fiction but of a different variety, I would say. So it is Postcards from No Man's Land by Aidan Chambers. So as you can see, it has won Carnegie Medal at some point, and in the past, I have been very wary of reading books which have been awarded because, I mean, deep or not, I mean, of course, they are good, of course, but of course, no doubt about it. But then they have sometimes been a little depressing for me, if you know what I mean. But this book turned out to be a pleasant surprise. So here, there is this young teenage boy called Jacob. He goes to Amsterdam, and this is an occasion where they are commemorating the Battle of Arnhem, in which his grandfather had fought at one point of time, and he had been named after his grandfather as well. So there he comes across a woman and the family who had originally invited him because they had helped his grandfather during the war. They had sheltered him, protected him, but then when he reaches there, he's in for a surprise. He gets to know that basically he's related to this family in a very strange way. Jacob was married as a soldier when he went into this battle, but unfortunately he died therein and he was buried there, and the wife did not get to know of it. So later on they get to know that he had another family altogether in Amsterdam, and that's who Jacob meets and befriends, and so much so that he feels that he should move there for good for a long time. And in between he talks about his journey, his growth as a person, his personality, his character development, the mouse moods that he talks about, which I could really relate with because he would feel low at times for unknown reasons, and he would be in those moods for a long time. So he happens to meet a girl over there. He connects with this girl. He likes his cousin a lot, and it's a very interesting read, all in all. So one odd chapter is always about Githrui, which would be pronounced as Gertrude, which she were in, if she were in England, that is. So she is the one wherein she narrates her story from her perspective. Whatever happens in the war, we get privy to all that information, how she spent time during that time, how she came close to Jacob, and all of that. And then there is this other side wherein we are witnessing the whole story through Jacob's point of view, wherein this teenager has come to a new place and he's exploring and try to find his identity anew because his whole beliefs about his family and who he was are shaken up completely, and then he faces this dilemma whether to go back and tell his grandmother the truth or not. So that makes a very interesting read. So these postcards are the ones that in childhood grandmother had sent, his grandmother Sarah, that is, had sent to Jacob, and he really appreciated that. And since then, she continued to send him postcards every week, and that is so beautiful. So he had a number of postcards collected over the years, and he lived with his grandmother only. Despite having a family of his own, he chooses to live with the grandmother because he finds more comfort and peace over there, and it helps with his mouse moods. And I can understand that because grandparents, as compared to parents, can be very soothing for the grandchildren because they have a lot more patience than parents who have more other concerns at hand, demanding attention. There's a lot on their plate, whereas grandparents are retired and then they can afford to really kick back and lend a listening ear to a young child, and that can be very endearing. So Jacob, being who he was with his mouse moods, obviously related more to his grandmother than his own parents. So it's a very rich, layered novel wherein we are forced to go back and forth. I like such challenges as a reader because it keeps you occupied, entertained, and constantly changing of this points of view. So you understand both sides of the story. I hope you enjoyed these reviews. Catch you soon.